A very good afternoon to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those of you that have not met me yet, I have joined the pack about a month or so ago. My name is Joffers McCormick, and I'm doing a few drives for the pack here and there, and really excited to take you on a little bumble, on a little game drive this afternoon. Firstly, we'd just like to say a very big thank you to a couple of our sponsors for making this possible. Thank you to Dunlop for supplying us with some very good trusty tyres. You can imagine out here we do get the odd thorn here and there, so a good pair of tyres is absolutely crucial. And along the same lines, thank you to Rogue as well for ensuring that we are able to move through the bush, not get thorns in our feet, and just ensuring that our feet are always kept in good nick. As well as to Stanley, always allowing us to have good cold beverages out in the bush, and as well as to Lead Lenser for allowing us to see at night and continue our safaris into the dark. So this afternoon we've just started off and come across a journey of giraffe, as you can see just in front here, and they are a little bit nervous with this wind this afternoon. It is quite mind-blowing out here at the moment. So everything is going to be a little on edge. So you'll notice how the individual standing in the middle there is not looking around at all. Hello Mary, hello Michael, Brandy, Barbara, hi Betty. So great to have all of you with us this afternoon. I think we're in for a great one. There's been a couple of reports of elephants around, giraffes around. So I think we're going to have a fantastic afternoon. It's so nice to actually have a bit of cooler weather again. We've got this cloud cover that's come in from the south. And I think much to our relief as well as to the animals' relief. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of multitasking this afternoon. You'll notice that as I'm driving along, I'll be checking my cell phone. I'm just on the YouTube feed, just so I can see any questions and comments and try and get to as many as possible and try to answer as many questions. So please, if you do see something while we're driving along or we're in a sighting and you've got something that sparks an interest, by all means, please do shoot with the questions. And we got Matt on the back today, on the camera. You know how it goes out here. For those of you that have been on a few drives with us, I'm still learning the property. So we've got Matt doing his dual role of Google Maps as well as our cameraman. Chopper, you're asking what was going on in the night from Friday to Saturday with all the hyenas and lions. Not exactly sure what was going on, but just outside of HQ there was a number of hyenas vocalizing. So maybe there was a kill, maybe there was a bit of interaction between the different species. Not exactly sure, and the tracks didn't really tell too much from what I heard, giving away any real stories there. Laurie, you're absolutely right. Giraffe manes are very soft. They're actually an incredible animal, giraffe. Always say it's quite a tall order to find them in the first place. But once you do see them, it's definitely one of the more majestic animals out here. And for me, they've got some of the most unbelievable adaptations. Unbelievable adaptations. It's crazy. So think of that massive neck, massive body. They've got a very big heart, and their heart rate is actually at the same as a human. And one of my favorite things about a giraffe is they've got this sponge of capillaries that sits within the neck. And I don't know if anyone's ever been bungee jumping, but when you've been bungee jumping and you're being pulled back up, you get this sudden head rush because of all of that blood flow to the head. Now imagine a giraffe when it goes down to drink and it puts that head down towards the water. You can imagine that blood rush going to the head, and you would think that they get quite dizzy. So what the sponge of capillaries does is it actually absorbs a lot of the blood, and it prevents that blood rush going to the head. So when the giraffe then puts its head back up, it also won't pass out. So it's like taking a sponge in a bowl of water. You soak up the water, and then afterwards you slowly squeeze it, and it slowly releases that blood back into the rest of the body. And you know, so much of this comes down to a case of adapt or die out here. As harsh as it sounds, it is a case of adapt or die and adapting to the environment. And something that I also find incredibly special with nature is how different individuals within the same species will adapt to the various areas that they live in. Something really special. Randy, you're right. Matt is my co-pilot here. He is sitting in the back and getting us some absolute epic shots here. Betty, we haven't seen any baby giraffes for quite some time. Not exactly sure what would have happened. I mean, every now and then it can be a case of lions will go for young giraffe. Obviously, they've got mom to worry about, and mom can get very defensive because they can do a very powerful kick forward, like a stomp forward, as well as deliver a powerful kick backwards. Either of those can actually kill a lion. So maybe it was malnutrition, maybe it got killed by lions. We're really not sure as to what happened to that young giraffe. You know, something I've also always found a little bit different with giraffe is we look at their heads, and a lot of us would look at that and say, oh, it's got the two horns. But it's actually a different type of horn. So when you're looking at an impala or buffalo or something of a kind, you must remember that that is a bone that gets covered by a keratin sheath, right? So in that bone, it's still got the nerve endings and so forth, where giraffe don't actually have a keratinized sheath around the horn. So what they've got is we refer to their horns as such as a ossicone, and it's an extension of the skull. So what happens at a very young age is they actually, those ossicones are fairly loose, like loose cartilage as such. And then over a couple of months, it'll fuse against the skull, and then it will get properly fused and will become very rigid from there. Sometimes you'll see a giraffe and it's got one of the ossicones pointing forward or one of them pointing back. It's always quite comical to see. And that's just because at a young age, maybe they bumped their head or had some form of birth defect. Atropa, you're saying there's a young giraffe at Boskamp today laying down in the back. Always nice to see a giraffe lying down. It's something quite unique to see. Laura and Mary, I must be honest, I've never seen Lamb Chop the puppet. But maybe I'll YouTube that or Google that later, and it sounds like it could be quite comical. And absolutely, those camera close-ups of those angles are amazing. We always know we're going to get great shots with Matt on board. Alrighty, well, they are slowly moving off. So what we're going to do is let them be. There was a herd of elephant that were reported not far from here. So I think what we're going to do is go around, actually directly in front of the giraffe. The elephants are seen. So we're going to go around to that general area. Let's go see if we can find the tracks of them and potentially find the herd. We're not too far from a dam as well, a dam known as Leopard Dam. And for those of you that have been on the other drives, you'll know that we've been joking and saying, yes, it's called Leopard Dam, but actually we've had a bit of fun renaming it, calling it Leopard Mud Wallow, because we have not had much rain in the area for good couple of weeks, so it has gotten very, very dry out here. Oh, she doesn't want us to leave. She's coming for some companionship. Oh, no, decided not. Never mind, take that back. Yeah, Betty, it's pretty incredible watching a giraffe stand up again. It's quite funny. Now they kind of throw their body forward and then they lean back and then they stand up from there. And they don't lie down for very long periods of time, because you can imagine such a big body like that. It is difficult for them to get back up. So they become very exposed to predators. You know, should they be lying down and a pride of lion do hunt them or stalk them or something of a kind, and a lion gets on the head or the neck, it'll hold that body down. And that neck, yes, it is very strong, but if you've got a big male lion weighing about 200 kilograms or so, you know, it would be incredibly difficult for that animal to put its head up. So they become very, very vulnerable when they are laying down, hence why they don't lay down for long periods of time. Oh, we got some beautiful rays as well coming through the clouds. Matt, I think this is quite a relief from last week with that intense heat that we had. Just before we left, you know, we always want to be prepared out here, so Matt had to quickly run back and get a poncho for the camera. Did you bring us a poncho, Matt?
Well, there's actually two now.
Oh, fantastic.
I'll give you the slightly one.
I thought you were going to say, I've got you a poncho, I've got you covered. So who says men can't multitask? Hey, look at this, driving and reading comments. Laurie, you're right, they do swing up pretty fast, but they can still be very vulnerable. All right, I think we have found where these elephants were going. The report of these elephants only came in about 15 minutes ago. So you can see here, this is some very fresh elephant dung. And what they've done is, a lot of these animals will utilize these game pathways. By utilizing these game pathways, it's just easier for them to move around. Like us, it's a lot easier to drive on-road than off-road. So for these elephants, creating this little pathway, and you can actually see where the grass is flattened. And we're getting a really strong smell here as well. And there's a number of defecations all around. So that would indicate that it's a herd of elephant rather than a single bull or young bull or something of a kind. But Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but if they keep heading this general direction, that'll be toward Leopard Dam.
Yeah.
Okay.
First two couples.
So I think what we'll do is let's loop around. We're not going to go crashing through the bush. We haven't seen them. I do believe they are probably quite a distance already. So let's go around and maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll see if we can see them. Oh, it's so nice having this wind and no humidity. Matt should know a song about giraffe, Sue. Maybe a little bit later on in the drive we'll ask Matt to sing us a giraffe song. Matty?
I can't recall it.
You can't recall it? Are you sure? Oh,
I know what you're talking about.
there we go. There's the elephants on the left, right here. Okay, they weren't far at all. I'm glad I said those that dung was fresh. What we're going to do is just try and get a little bit of a better angle. It's quite a big herd actually, and we have got some youngsters. And thank you again to Dunlop for the fantastic tires that allow us to do this type of off-roading. You know, obviously we've got to be very cautious as well when we off-road. We've always got to think of the micro life out here, as well as different protected tree species and plant species and so forth. Chris, you're asking how many giraffe species are there? The four main species that you'll get is the northern giraffe, the southern giraffe, which we are seeing here, the Maasai giraffe, and the reticulated giraffe. Now, I know you've actually spent some time up in those northern countries, so you would have seen the reticulated giraffe. I must say that is definitely one of my favorite. I love those very solid white lines that they get. Always think it almost looks like a jigsaw puzzle. So you can see these elephants being in quite a large herd. They're really not bothered by our presence at all. And I think that's maybe actually the same herd that we spent quite a bit of time with a few days ago. You know, and often elephants will show a lot of displacement behavior with wind when it is so windy like this. But they are very relaxed. I think what we're going to do is let's try go in front of them, and we'll try get on the other side so we get them walking towards us. Because right now we are getting that typical shot. I always say whenever you want to take a video or you want to take a photograph, an animal always turns its bum. So I like to call it the bums of Africa. So we'll try get to the faces of Africa instead. So it's also important, you know, when you're with the herd like this, and like I was saying with the wind and so forth, you don't want to stress them out. We're here to view them and not stress them. We're just going to see their behaviors, see what they're doing. Just make sure they're not showing any displacement behavior. And if not, then we can spend some really good quality time with them. And I always say, you know, it's always best to just sit in a sighting and watch and listen and just take note as to what they do and how they do. And that's when you're getting the most experience out of it. Buffalo, you're saying a lot of new faces on this drive, elephant faces. I think there is about, I'd say maybe 15, 20 different elephant faces around. But don't worry, it's coming up shortly. Right now we're getting a bums of Africa. But I don't want to push her off of the road. So we're just going to let her feed there and move off the road at her own pace. And then we'll move a little bit forward and we'll get to show you the little youngsters. What you'll notice this cow is doing in front, this elephant cow, is when she's picking up the vegetation, she's actually hitting it. And what she's doing when she's hitting it against the leg and the chest like that, is she's getting rid of excess vegetation and little dust and sand particles. So what happens with the elephant is they actually go through 6 different sets of teeth in a lifetime. Now it's like a baby, a young human getting their baby teeth and then getting their adult teeth. And elephants going through 6 sets of teeth, it comes at about 10 to 12 year intervals. So what she's actually effectively doing when she hits off that dust and those sand particles is she's preserving those teeth, because you can imagine if she puts that vegetation in the mouth without hitting it off, all of that sand will act like a sandpaper with the saliva in the mouth and against the teeth, which will then, the teeth will wear down at a much faster rate than what they should, which will then result in the next set of teeth being pushed through, and ultimately potentially shortening the lifespan. So pretty cool how they do that, and just shows the intelligence as well. So you're asking how old are the young ones? There is multiple young ones here. I'd say the youngest that we saw driving up, I'd say probably only a couple of months, maybe 5-6 months, and then there are others that are, I'd say, up to about 5 years, 6 years. We've got a little cutie here on the left. Oh, you got a little bit camera shy. Buffalo, I agree with you on that one. The young ones are not old. That's brilliant. I think we may get lucky here. Maybe they are going to actually head to Leopard Dam, and we might see them playing around in the mud. So you're asking, how do you tell the ages of an elephant? So at the very young ages, just in general, a general rule you can go with is the height of the various individuals, and also the length of the tusks and the production of the tusks. You only really start to see the tusks after a couple of years. One of them having a little trumpet in the back. But in general, we'll just go on an average age by looking at the size of them. Oh, look at this. Can you hear that trumpeting up ahead? We had this little youngster running back to mom, but the trumpeting happening up ahead is also from a young one, maybe a couple of years old. I can't really see it now. So I just want to get out the shot here. Oh, look at that little bum. And that was the youngster trumpeting at mom, saying, "Mom, I want a drink." And mom obviously was not allowing it to drink, so he was having a little tantrum. How soon, Bob, you're asking, how soon after having a calf can she become pregnant again? Look, I mean, an elephant's gestation alone is 22 months. So it is a very long time. Over and above that, you're looking at about another 2 to 3 years of that animal nursing. So I'd safely say about every 7-8 years, she can have a youngster. I mean, can you imagine carrying around a newborn that on average weighs about 90 kilograms, so about 180, 200 pounds when it is born? Can you imagine carrying that around for 22 months? And I think that also, just shows why these mothers get so protective of the young. Yeah, Mary, you're right. I love it though, the little protector of the herd. And they get all this confidence and they come charging out the bush at you. But then they look back and they know they can do it because mom is around. And the moment that mom turns around and slightly walks away, it's, oh, lost the confidence, quickly run back to mom. I love it. And they'll come trumpeting and charging and head up and trying to say, oh, look how big I am, look what I can do, look what I'm capable of. And then mom walks away and it's, oh, quickly, sorry, back to mom. Just going to go slowly around the road here, and then we'll see the little ones cross the road in front of us. We're getting all types of noises from the herd. Bob, absolute pleasure. There's a number of elephants here. Now, when you've got a herd of this size, it's so often the case that you'll actually have a lot of elephant bulls that will be running around and looking for any females that are in estrus here. And the females being in estrus is effectively like a dog going into heat. When they're giving off the pheromones, basically saying, hey, I'm ready to mate, I'm ready to have a youngster. And these elephant bulls come and do their thing, and then they carry on with life.
You're having a little bit of a fight there. I can't see if it was serious or not.
So I was checking the comments there. Oh, there we go. Oh, you got to love that. Two young bulls having a little dig at each other. Typical teenagers trying to throw their weight around. And it's quite funny with these young bulls. They get kicked out of the herd when they're about 13, 14 years old, because that's when an elephant starts to reach sexual maturity. And it's often the case, it's the aunties and the matriarch that will kick out these young males. And it's in order just to prevent inbreeding from happening. So what happens is these young males, they get kicked out and they feel very lonely. So it's often the case that they'll try to have some form of companionship and just hang on the outskirts of the herd. Just kind of say, no, I'm not joining you, but can I just follow behind? We've got a very small one coming up in front. Laurie asking, what do the elephants smell like? I'd say almost like a grassy, muddy smell as such, especially when they when they defecate. They eat a whole variety of vegetation, everything from the bark of trees to leaves to grasses. So they've got a very wide diet, which when they pass a bit of wind, definitely leaves behind a very distinctive smell. One smell that you can't get wrong out here. Matt's sitting here in the back laughing because he knows exactly what I'm talking about. But they really are just such gentle giants. Barbara, you're saying there's been a very cranky bull in the area. I heard all about him. Apparently he is in full must and he is out and about throwing his weight around as and where he can. So like we were saying, when you've got these herds and if there is a female in estrus, the likelihood of a bull like that following them is very high. So we'll keep an eye out definitely for him while we're sitting here. We're also extremely fortunate, that these elephants are so relaxed around Pridelands, and I think it just goes to show how well respected they are in the area. No one taking chances or being unethical or anything of the kind, and this is then the result of that, showing how relaxed they are. Those two on the left are going absolutely nuts. Those two young bulls really having a good dig at each other. And the longer that we spend with them, the more relaxed just naturally they'll become with our presence. So it's always a good idea just to sit with them for a bit. And the other day we sat with a herd and we were chatting about this cow in front, and neither myself nor Matt noticed, but we had this massive cow walk about 2 feet behind us, and they walk so silently that we did not even hear her. It was pretty epic. Butterfly, you're asking, why do some elephants not have tusks? So some elephants don't have tusks. Some of it is from a genetic perspective, and unfortunately a lot of the elephant tusks, even further up north of Africa, have been poached out, that particular gene. Hence why we don't see many of those big tuskers around anymore. And obviously the ones without tusks, there's no real desire for them to be poached for the ivory because they don't have any. And then those are the genes that are making it through. But a lot of it can also just be related to genetic diversity and the various gene pools. Sue, do they fight to injure one another? I mean, they can definitely injure one another, and it can get very very bad for the various individuals. You can imagine a big tusk impaling another individual, and how bad that can be. Oh, we've got one right behind us. How epic was that? Look at her, you can even see on the trunk, can you, just before she moves off, she had a little portion on the trunk there where you could see she had been feeding on a tree that has a very green-like bark, and it stained her trunk on the inner side. And you see these bigger cows now moving towards where those two young bulls were having a little dig at each other. And now they're just acting like they're feeding. They're like, no, nothing to see here. We're behaving. They're like, no, we're just having our dinner. No, Bob, you're asking if a female elephant has an older calf and is ready to become pregnant again, will the male run off or try to kill the calf so that he can mate with her? It's not often the case that will happen, and particularly with elephants that doesn't really take place. %, Michael. I think there could definitely be a program, elephant therapy. I think they're just such emotional creatures, and they really are such gentle giants. And the intelligence of an elephant also is just absolutely mind-blowing. And what I love about elephants also is, they're never just sleeping. They're always doing something. They're always active. They're feeding, or they're drinking, or they're interacting with one another. So they always provide some great entertainment. So you'll see where Matt's got the camera at the moment. There is a youngster in there, and I think it's a bit easier for us to see with the naked eye here. But something that always also blows my mind with elephants is just how camouflaged they are and how silent they are. You can have the freshest tracks, you can smell them, but you won't hear them and you won't see them. It's amazing how some of the larger game out here is some of the most difficult game to find. Okay, I think let's go carry on a little bit further up, and maybe we'll get an opportunity to see those little youngsters again. Oh, there's a little one nursing. Let's try to find you a gap, Maddie. No longer. Oh, it's cute, very small. So small, can't even see him in amongst the trees. Notice how she uses that foot in conjunction with the trunk when she's feeding. I think they're definitely going to end up at Leopard Dam. What do you think, Matt? Should we take some bets here? Leopard Dam or no Leopard Dam?
You go a little bit more north.
I think what they're doing currently is feeding along a little tributary here, a little riverine area. and that's just providing them a little bit of cover from the wind. So it just means that they'll be a little bit more relaxed and they can be a bit more comfortable down there. But they are going into some thickets, so I think we are going to let them be, and we are going to carry on from here and see what else we can find. Geez, what a way to start. We had the giraffe and then the ellies. I think it's a good indication of what we've got in store for us this afternoon. And we know that there has been 2 lionesses that have also been frequenting the area here. So we're going to keep an eye out for any track or sign of them. We found them a couple of days ago, I think it was on Friday morning it was, and they were looking very thin. So if they haven't had a meal, I'm sure they'll be taking advantage of this weather. Nice and cool, bit of wind, good for hunting opportunities, not using too much energy walking around. It's actually a little bit chilly. This is where I can cheat in the front here. I can put the heater on my feet. It's one of those little tricks as the guides, you know. When you're on a safari again and listen out and you'll hear the... And it's just the guides, and they'll put the heater all the way across and no one else can hear it. It is quite nice in winter. And then you take your big jacket and you put it over the AC, over the heater, and you get that warm air coming into your jacket. Everyone says, why do you keep putting your arm up like that? You say, no, I'm just stretching. A troper, that is epic to see. Secretary birds. I love those colorations of them and the habits of them. I'm not sure if you've ever seen one hunting, but they do almost like a dance, and they run and they kick their legs up because one of their main prey species is snakes. So they'll see a snake in the bush and they'll go running after the snake and almost try to just stand on it and step it to death. And even their legs, they've got an amazing adaptation where they've got these scaly legs. So even if a snake tries to bite them and attempts to bite them, the likelihood of a fang actually piercing that leg is absolutely minimal. Butterfly, there has been records of elephants having twins, but it is something incredibly rare. It's not something that happens on a very common basis. Yeah, a lot, 100%. Safari guide adaptations. You got to adapt to your environment. See, we've got to do it just as much as the animals have got to do it. That's brilliant. Bobs, I hope I know the guiding tricks. Been in the industry now for 11 years, so I'd hope that know one or two of the little sneaky ones. No, see, you're right. Poor cameraman Matt doesn't get the heater. But oh, Chameleon! Epic! Have you got him there? Should I go a bit forward for you? Okay. Betty, there has not been much rain recently. I'll get back to your comments just now. I'm just going to jump out and we can have a bit of a closer look at this flap-necked chameleon. So, you know, you never really want to be picking these animals up. You never want to be stressing them out or anything of the kind. So it's very important that we always let them be. You know, in this case, he is fairly exposed, being out here on the road. So should anything from a hornbill or bird of prey, an eagle, he's very vulnerable to being taken right now. but you'll notice how he is standing dead still and not moving. So he's basically saying, hey, my camouflage is working, you cannot see me. But where he gets the name a flap neck chameleon is because he's got this broad flap that covers the back of his neck, hence flap neck chameleon. And you'll see he's got multiple different colorations on his body right now. And what he does in order to change the color is it's through contracting and expanding of pigment cells that are inside the skin, and that's what allows him to change the color. And then I don't know if you'll see the eye from there, or how well you can see the eye from there, but you'll see how quickly it moves. And something very unique about these guys as well is they're able to move those eyes independently. So one can be looking forward and one can be looking back. Takes that saying of eyes on the back of your head to a whole new level. So what you'll notice is he had a few little black spots on him, and it's often a case that will indicate when he's a little bit stressed out. You'll get these black spots that will appear. And one of the coolest things to watch out here actually is a chameleon feeding, because what he does is he's got this very long tongue, and it's almost like a sticky sandpaper-like substance at the end of that tongue. And it's very, very long. So you'll see an insect and you'll shoot the tongue out, grab the prey, almost suction it, and then pull it into the mouth from there. I feel like while he's moving and doing this little dance, we need to have a soundtrack going behind. But I'm not going to attempt to sing anything because I think everyone will leave the feed. Making a speedy getaway. So, some might think it's quite harsh not to move them off the road. But what we do have to remember is that if we weren't here, this would be nature taking its course, and we have got to let it be as natural as possible out here and ensure that we do not interfere with nature's ways. If it was a very rare species or an endangered species, by all means, different story. But at this time, we just got to let nature do its thing. You've always just got to respect that factor of the bush. Laura, in your mind you hear walk like a chameleon. I was singing, I'm a chameleon. Bob, you're asking, is he able to walk faster, or is that his normal pace? And that is a fairly normal pace. They are very slow moving creatures, but you can see what he's doing now is he's going for the cover of the bush there, just on the left hand side. And I can hear a number of bird species flying around here that could be targeting him. So I think what we're going to do, we are going to help him a little bit in the sense of just staying here with the vehicle, because that'll prevent any of the birds from coming down and having a feed. Yeah, those split mitten feet are pretty awesome, and you can really see it nicely there. I mean, Matt's getting some fantastic close-ups, and with that, it's almost like a human with our opposable thumbs. It just means that it aids him in climbing branches and sitting in the trees and so forth. Makes it a lot easier for him to hold on and move around. And even that tail helps him with a lot of balance as well as support. When he's climbing, he can wrap that tail around a branch. Buffalo, absolute pleasure. Always a pleasure to be out here and take you guys on a little safari and just enjoy the African bush, huh? Now look at that camouflage starting to kick in. Holding that back leg up. You cannot see me. Bob, that is quite funny. When you're walking your dogs, that must be quite entertaining to watch. Okay, I think he is safe. He is very close to a big tuft of grass and a little bush. So I think what we're going to do, let's let him be. Yeah, Matt, actually that's a cool one. If you zoom all the way out, just to put in perspective of how difficult that is to see now and how well that camouflage works. Isn't that incredible? You can literally not see him anymore. Oh, Matt says he ain't getting away from me. I'll keep him. Haven't seen one of those guys for ages. That's epic. Cool. Like we were saying just 10 minutes ago, it's all happening. You know, I love it when it all just comes to you, and I think it's such a karma about the bush. Is that, you know, when you just out here and you just enjoy it for what it is and you let it happen, and you let it all come naturally, you experience so much more. The moment that you start to focus on just specific animals and say, we have to see this, we have to see that, you become so focused on only that you forget about so many other factors out here. And there's so many pieces of the puzzle that make up the big picture here. And you've got to take all of those little smaller pieces. You know, it's vitally important. And so often you remove one of those pieces and you break the whole structure of the bush. So it's always fantastic also to look at the little smaller aspects out here. I was going to ask Matt what the road name is here, but I think we'll just call it the dirt road with a rocky outcrop on the right. Is this Stenson? Something like that. Okay, far from it. Different reserve. Scratch that one. Oh, Killie Koppies, okay. See, isn't it fantastic to have a real life GPS, huh?
You know what they call me on the other drive, Victoria?
Yeah?
Natigator.
Madigator. Like the navigator, but the Madigator. I think that could actually be a new social media handle for you, Matt.
Pretty good.
Hello everybody, I'm the Madigator. Get your cap made on the side. You'll have to put on one of those voices of, in the next 200 meters, turn right. KDG, that would be something that please you can further inquire about. But yeah, there is safaris that do accommodate kids as well. It's a pretty epic experience for kids to come out and really just enjoy the various aspects. You know, there's such fun things to do with the kids as well. Yeah, painted dog. Yeah, painted dog can accommodate kids as well out here. And it's really fun. You get the kids like making toothbrushes and bow and arrows and tracking. It's really good fun for them. So my phone keeps closing, so I keep opening and having to open it here. You know, I think a huge factor also about doing these private safaris or these drives, these virtual game drives, and not everyone can get out to Africa and experience it. So I think it's so special that you at least all get to sit at home and experience a little bit of the bush from the comfort of your own home. Okay, so we're coming into the area now where these lionesses have been hanging around. So we're just going to have a good look around, see if we can find any tracks of them. I think wherever they are, they're going to be on the move, as we were saying earlier. Using the wind to their advantage for hunting, instead of just lying around. And you'll notice not many birds out this afternoon. Not with this weather. They'll be hunched up somewhere, keeping nice and warm. So now for us as humans, we get goosebumps, right? When you get cold and all of your hairs stand up and you get those little shivers. Now, the animals and the birds also do it. It's called philo-erection. And they'll sit somewhere in a nice thicket or somewhere of a kind where they're a bit more protected, and they'll get fluffed up, and then they'll just sit and stay nice and warm and wait for the weather to pass. I think they're going to be in bed quite early tonight. Most of them would have found a little roosting spot. I'm going to take a chance here and say we're driving past an area called Red Earth. Hey, slowly getting the hang of the roads in this property. So, Maddie, if we head straight here, we're going to go toward Leopard Dam, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're slowly getting there. It's quite nice as well. We've done quite a loop around. So by the time we get to the dam, there's all the potential that we will bump into that herd. We've got some other fresh elephant tracks on the road here, but it looks like only one individual. So perhaps a elephant bull or something of a kind. Mary, I think having a class pet doesn't just strengthen the child's empathy muscles. I think, it's got so much behind it, learning about just nature in general and treatment of animals and how important it is for human and wildlife to coexist together and live harmoniously together rather than live against one another. And there's a number of projects taking place to try and educate the more rural areas as to why it's so important that we protect the wildlife. You know, those two really do go hand in hand. You help the communities and indirectly you're helping the wildlife and vice versa. Okay, so here we are around the corner from Leopard Dam. But I'm still going to keep to what I've been calling it. I wouldn't even call it Leopard Mud Wallow, actually. There's not even mud. But there is some clouds coming in from the south. So let's do this and hope that the rain is going to come tonight and it will fill up the dam. There's nothing happening at the dam. It is very dry. So we're going to bypass that and we are going to continue further east and see what we can find further east. there is another vehicle we saw driving around on our northern side, and they will check around there and let us know if they find anything. Okay, so the elephants shown, they haven't made it this way. Maybe they're happy in their little reverie. Matt, keep your eye open for that leopard that's been hanging around.
Looking for her this morning.
Did you have tracks of her this morning?
Yeah, we did. She went off east into the block over Balule.
Okay.
There's been no tracks since. Yeah, it's quite a thick block. But
so we're just chatting. There's a female leopard that's been frequenting this area. So very good chance that she's still somewhere within the general area. And just like we were saying with the lions, the leopards will also be taking advantage of this weather. So we're going to keep a very careful eye going as we drive along. There's a great one-liner for you. If we, let's say Matt had to spot the leopard, you know, none of us could ever say to him, "She's well spotted," and that's because a leopard has always been spotted. Laurie's saying, good thing the Chameleon didn't have to dodge elephants on the roadway. It is actually amazing how cautious elephants are when they walk. The likelihood of a chameleon getting crushed by an elephant is absolutely minimal, but I mean, you never know. It's the bush. Anything can happen. Goodbye, Buffalo. It was absolutely lovely to have you on the feed, and I hope you enjoyed the time that you spent with us. And I'm sure we will see you again. Enjoy your dinner or breakfast, depending on what time it is, wherever you are. I think it's going to be safer for us to head a bit further east. Clouds are looking darker and darker coming in from the west. So we're going to try and do a little escape here and move a little bit further out of the area. It's unbelievable how patchy the rain becomes. Get a few inches in one area and then you go 200 yards another direction and it's completely dry. We got caught in it the other day. Everyone had a good chuckle at us when we drove past because they saw we were all wet and all of the other vehicles were dry. And they're asking, where were you driving that you were in the rain? Did you drive through a sprinkler? Oh, you gotta love it. Lovely bird calling called a crested barbet, but I can't see him as we're going along. Just going to keep an eye open in the trees. Maybe we'll get a chance to see him. You know, these birds on these windy, cloudy afternoons like to play that game of now you see me, now you don't, or now you hear me and you'll never see me. This area is so well suited for leopard. Carol, you saying you think I should do a rain dance at Leopard Dam? I'd happily do a rain dance at Leopard Dam, but I'd want to get out there before the heavens open up and get us absolutely drenched. I must say, I'm not the biggest fan of game drive in the rain. Maybe one of you, Chopa or Carol, why don't one of you record yourselves doing a rain dance and just post it and just tag the painted dog.
We can put it on our app.
Yeah, put on the app actually, that's a good idea. Put it on the app and then I'll watch that video and I'll see how you do it and then I'll try to repeat it at Leopard Dam and we'll see if that works.
If it doesn't, then we'll give them just
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you could hear Matt there saying if it doesn't work, then we must just all do it collectively. Can you imagine? Another vehicle comes around the corner and there's a whole lot of us dancing around. And they'll think, what has gone on? These people are absolute bonkers. Thank you, Bailey. Hello. Goodbye. Somebody just spotted Homo sapiens. Don't come across those too often out here. Got to be quite careful. You know, some of them can be a little bit edgy on these windier days. So I'm still getting used to this whole deal of not having everyone chatting in the ear and rather reading the comments, but trying to multitask. Carol, you can always make a plan. You say, I'll never video myself. I think we can always make it happen. You know, and then it just gives us a gist of what the rain dance should look like. I'm loving these dance comments. Oh, just want to pick up a little piece of rope. Now, if we ever do see a little piece of rope or something dropped out of a vehicle or something of a kind, always just pick it up. Keep our environment clean. Hi Marine, thank you very much and lovely to have you join us on the feed. So these drives happen almost every day of the week, usually 2 drives a day, just depending on the day. So you can always jump onto the Painted Dog TV website or the app and you can get more information from there as to when and where these drives take place. It's always good fun, you know, see a bit of the bush from home. And look how nice and welcoming everyone is. You're all such legends. So we are now going to go and check around an area where we tracked a leopard for a very long time the other day and had no success. But just before we left, myself and Matt, when we were getting everything ready, there were some monkeys that were alarm calling around the area of HQ Waterhole. So we're going to go and see. Maybe if you don't try, you never know. Maybe we'll get lucky. You know, those monkeys. Oh, that's okay. Natal spurfowl just having a little panic attack. Now those monkeys have a very distinctive call, and they have multiple different types of calls for different predators. And when I say it's a distinctive call, you can hear it from a vast distance away, and it's a. And basically what they're saying is, hey, we've seen you, there's a predator in the area, letting all the other animals know, don't come here, there's danger. It also amazes me, how all the animals again are interlinked and they all help one another. Shame the poor predators. Tough life as a predator out here in the bush. Very low success rates when it comes to making kills. Really difficult to raise young. But they do it, and a lot of them do it successfully. Peter Cayley, you are saying that you were in the Kruger and saw a liger, a cross between a lion and a tiger. Now, jeez, maybe you're the first and only person to ever seen that in Kruger. Maybe there was some tequila involved. But me personally, I've never seen a track, seen a sign of it. And Pete, I know that you do love your cats, and I know you're pulling a leg then. It is a funny one, but it would actually be pretty cool to see an actual liger. I've heard that they are absolutely massive. Okay, here we are at HQ Waterhole. Let's see if anything is cooking around here. Pete, I was waiting for something like that. Yeah, Trope, I agree with you as well. They are man-made, and it's a hybrid species, which is not natural, obviously, and which is a little bit, well, I guess everyone's got their own opinion about it. We won't jump into that one. Matt, I'm checking comments here, so I hope you're having a good squiz around here. Yeah, those, when you do get those hybrid animals that are crossbred and so forth, it's so often the case that the result is deformities and so forth, unfortunately. Matt, can you jump off?
Yep.
There's another little guy to have a look at here. Just don't fall off. So, this time of year, there is a number of marula trees. I don't know if you've all had amarula. So what they do with amarula is you take the fruit, and it's a fruit extract that they make the amarula from the marula tree. Now, this time of year is when they're all the little fruits are coming about, and the elephants go absolutely nuts for it. I can't see a marula tree anywhere right now close to us, but I'll show you one as we go. But what it does show is that these elephants will feed on the marula, and then they'll defecate, and a lot of the time the seed stays in. Here's a piece from an old portion of elephant dung, and you can see that is the inside of a marula fruit. So it's got the 3 little nuts that are in there, and you can imagine by the elephants feeding on them like this, and defecating, it helps to spread the fruits all over, and the result is that you'll get a number of marula trees coming about from where the elephants have defecated. But in saying that, these also then provide a food source to multiple other animals. Even little squirrels will come and gnaw on the nuts here. So you can actually see on this one here where that's been gnawed on, and a little squirrel will have taken that nut out and taken it to his little dray, to his little nest. But I don't think this dung's also too old. You can see if you open it up, it's often deceiving where the outer area of the dung becomes crusted from the sun, right? So you look at it from the outside and you think, oh, that looks old. But then the moment you open it up, Matt, I think you'll agree with me, you get a really strong smell the moment that you open it. And what's quite cool is you can see what they've been feeding on. And this isn't dirty at all. It's just vegetation. And I'm not saying ever to try this, but if you're ever extremely desperate in the bush for water, you can actually take the moisture and you can squeeze the moisture out of fresh elephant dung and drink it. But
one of our guides did that on live drive.
I'm definitely not going to be doing that. We'll leave that up to, if you'd like to see that happen, you can go back and watch previous footage. But just look at the diversity of food sources that they've got here. So feeding on the cambium layer of a tree, which is the inner bark layer. It's basically for humans, our arteries and our veins. This has got the phloem and the xylem, which is a very good nutritious layer for the elephants, especially when there hasn't been much rain around and when the vegetation is a little bit drier. It just means that they're still able to keep those massive bodies going with a lot of nutrients going into the body. And then you can see all the little pieces of grass, pieces of twigs, pieces of trees, so little leaves. Very, very diverse diet that they've got. And from an elephant defecating like this, provides food for other animals, food for insects, homes. It's, again, connecting everything out here and shows how everything is interconnected. Okay, I'm going to put this back down. Going to put it back on the same place where we found it, just so if there is any micro-life or anything of a kind, we're not going to disturb it. And then the other cool thing that I wanted to show you is a little Telecoptra dung beetle. So you can see he's got that beautiful iridescent coloration there on the back, like a iridescent purple almost. There's actually a number of them. A number of them are burrowed all around into the dung. So there'll be the males starting to make a dung ball, where he'll get a perfect ball going and then roll it around in the sand, get it coated by a nice sandy layer to harden it, and then after the female has laid her larva in there, or egg rather in there, they'll bury it to try and prevent predators from getting it. Like honey badgers go absolutely nuts for them. Honey badgers will find a hole that a dung beetle has dug and put the ball in, and then it is like them going into a candy store. He's going into 4x4 mode. They're fascinating little things, aren't they? It's amazing when you look at one particular pile of dung, or you just stop and you get out and you focus on I'd even say a square foot, and how much you'll notice if you really just look hard in that little area, how much life you'll notice that there is, and how many different aspects all pulled together. We have got some impala as well that are being very cautious of us. Standing out of the vehicle, being bipedal on two legs, The animals do tend to react a little bit differently. They associate us with a predator and with a threat. So you may be hearing, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but the impala barking in the back. Just standing there watching us ever so carefully. Wondering, what are we doing? Looking at elephant dung. They're like, look at us, we're pretty. See them there?
Yeah.
Oh, and there's a little one as well. There's a little lamb. While you're on them, I'm just going to grab my phone so I can see the comments. Thank you, Bev. Lovely to have you with us on this drive. And hopefully we'll see you on a few more. Bailey, there's a number of birds in the area at the moment. Because we are in the summer months, there's a lot of the migratory species that have come down from some as far as Russia, others Europe, others North Africa, all just varying on the different species. But during our summer months is the absolute best time for birding out here. Oh, a troper, the woodland kingfisher, is amazing. The chup, churr, and then it's got that really pretty iridescent coloration, that little blue on the back and that black and red beak. We'll see, maybe we'll hear one, or maybe we'll see one as we go. If we do, we'll definitely stop and I'll point it out for you. But I think let's jump on and let's see what else we can find. We did actually have some rhino tracks around this area a couple of days ago, and even though the rhino tracks are old, it doesn't mean that they're not necessarily in the area. It shows that they are frequenting the area. Let's try our luck. You never know. Dung beetles are pretty cool. I love them too. No, I don't think a dung beetle will get too confused to roll a marula fruit. So if you think of the texture difference, that also play quite a big role, and it actually needs to be soft. So what will happen is the female will latch onto the ball that the male has made, and she needs to physically be able to drill through that ball to lay her egg. So I think she would realize pretty quickly if it was a marula. Oh, maybe I was getting a bit legless. See the difference between the male and the female dung beetles is just the way of pretty much how the male latch onto that ball, and he will continue to roll it. He'll even push the ball over her. But nothing too drastic, hey? Not from a coloration perspective or anything like that. Do they ever fight over each other's ball? 100%. Betty, it is quite funny. It is quite comical to watch. Call it UFC Dung Beetle edition. Yeah, Chopper, when they're trying to roll that ball up a hill and you see them kick into 4x4 mode. And if you watch them actually walk, it's quite funny how they do it, because they walk, they push with their back legs, so they face down, and then they push with their back legs, then they'll stop, they'll jump on top of their ball, get their bearings. Once they've got their bearing and they know where they want to go, back down again, push for a couple of meters, stop again, and they'll repeat that process continuously until they get to their desired area. Oh, Buffalo, welcome back. Good to have you back on the feed. The dung beetle is a tok-toki. A few different names and local names for it. Mary, it would be great to see number 58 again. I actually haven't seen that animal at all. So it'll be really special, and you know, to see those animals is really, really special. To see rhino anywhere now. So Bella Kaylee asked, are there any cheetah in Pridelands? There are on there. There's cheetah that have been on the neighbouring farm Jajani. But Bella, they have been seen here and there, but it is a very rare occasion to see a cheetah out here. But you never know, you really never know.
Twice in 2 years.
Oh, there we go, Matt saying twice in 2 years. I know how much you love your cheetahs, so you never know. I think the last time a cheetah was seen on the neighbouring farm, even where there's actually been those two brothers on and off, was about 6 months or so ago already. And they were on the property for, I think, a total of 2 or 3 days. So we're just coming to try our luck here at a hyena den. Oh, you can actually smell it. It smells a bit dead almost. Maybe one of them defecated right next to the road, or...
Well, pocket smell's been here since yesterday morning.
Okay, so Matt's just saying there has been a carcass smell here since...
The whole line incident with the noise.
Oh, well there we go. Yeah, Dunlop is a fantastic sponsor for Safari. You know, a lot of what we're able to do is because of Dunlop. So Matt, just getting back to that smell, and that interaction that happened with the hyena vocalizing and the lion vocalizing and so forth, on Friday night, I think it was. There is a bit of a carcass smell here, and this is a active hyena den. We did see 2 cubs here a couple of days ago. So perhaps what happened is maybe one of them made a kill, or the lions made a kill, and the hyenas managed to steal the kill from the lion, and then brought back a piece of a leg or a head or whatever it was that they killed, and allow the cubs just to play with it. It allows just to have a bit of a teething process, and helps them develop a bit of a taste for meat as well. Okay, but it doesn't look like they are going to come out. It does actually seem like they've had a early night. Maybe they are having hot chocolate in bed. They say it is a bit too chilly to be out this afternoon, so they're going to take it easy. It'll be nice and warm in there as well. It's almost effectively like an upside down light bulb. Looks like a hobbit home, 100%. And it's so funny, what will happen is initially these termite mounds, the hole would have been dug by a aardvark, most likely a earth pig, an anteater, the one with a big long nose, very, very rare to see. And what will happen is the aardvark will go in there, and often it can be a little place for it to sleep at night, and also for feeding purposes. But then once that hole becomes dormant, hyenas, warthogs, African rock pythons, a whole variety of animals will utilize it as a home. So in this case, what would have happened is the hyenas would have gone in, and they would have done some housekeeping and maintenance in there, and made it to suit them, and a little livable home, and they will utilize that for a couple of months. But then what they will have to do is they'll also have to change the den every few months. Because now if you think of the parasite buildup, like we get in a very strong dead smell right now, carcass smell, and you think of the parasites that brings in alone, and the result is then that these young hyenas haven't built up an immune system yet where they're able to fight off disease and bacterial infections and so forth. So if they remain in one den for too long, the result is that they can get very sick and they can actually die. So by moving around, it just ensures that they're kept a little bit cleaner. So it would be great to get a cam in there, but I don't think we're going to ask Matt to go stick his head in there. Matt, do you want to volunteer? Could be quite a cool experience. I'll hold the camera from here and you just go put your head in and just have a squiz. I did see though, there was a few places, I think it was up in Kenya, that managed to, when one of the dens went dormant, they actually went and put GoPros in the den. And they were able to see what the hyenas did at different times of day and so forth. And from a research perspective, it really, really did help. And good news is the rain's staying away. For now. Don't jinx us, Matt. It's exactly what happened the other day. Remember? Saying, I know it's not going to rain, it's not going to rain. We're so lucky, but it's nice and cool. And then Matt was sitting at the back holding the camera, trying to drive. We're trying to find a thick tree to sit under just to get a bit of cover. It's quite an adventure. Hello Anna, and welcome to the drive. Glad you're catching us with a little bit of time left. Still some good time to enjoy. So when all of the vehicles were getting mobile earlier, I did hear someone saying they would like to please book one particular spot to have a sundowner, to have a drink and watch the sunset. I think they'll have the drink, but I don't think they're going to get much of a sunset tonight. So I think I broke up a little bit there. I was saying that I don't think that group that reserved a spot for sundowners, I don't think they're going to get too much of a sunset. So I'm sure they'll enjoy their drinks. Seen some more zebra tracks, but I'm yet to see the actual animal. And I do believe there's zebra now, because I actually saw someone posted a picture on the group, on the Prideland group of the zebras. I was starting to think someone's driving around here with a machine, just imprinting zebra hoofs all over the show. So we're coming into an area that is very good substrate, the soils. So great area for tracking. What does make it a little bit more difficult is the fact that this wind is blowing so much. It's going to disturb a hell of a lot of the tracks. Hello Lance, welcome to the feed. Welcome to the team. It's just pretty cold. Well, not pretty cold. So maybe the temperature should be about maybe 8 degrees. Earlier when I didn't think I'd need a jacket, but I think I was wrong. I definitely needed a jacket when I left home. I always keep my guiding bag with me, so always got everything from binoculars, bird books, tree books, And the one thing I actually took out of it this afternoon was a jacket. So glad. Hello Kim, lovely to have you with us. Hello Kirst, Lance, Mo and Chris. Hope you are all having a fantastic afternoon and enjoying the feed. Enjoying a little bit of the game drive and a bit of the bush experience from sitting in the comfort of your own home. Mary, you say you had three male zebras hanging around with 3 female giraffe. Oh, that's always lovely. I love seeing those two species together, like just the patternings of them and the colors of them. So, Maddie, I'm going to ask for your help here. Maddie, take us to Dam. Oh, we're on the right road. Hey, slowly getting it. If we are breaking up a little bit, we're just going through a bit of a bad patch of signal. Also with the cloud cover, it does also impact the feed a little bit. But as we get a little bit further out of this little valley, it should start to get a little better. Ah, Kim, Jumbo! Crazy join us. Get the feet up and down with this cloud cover. Just bear with us. Okay, just bear with us for a few minutes. We're just going to get to an area with a bit better signal. Sorry about the delay there. Okay, Matt, got a question here for the two of us. Hello Walder, nice to have you on. So Matt, Laura is asking, what are our spirit animals that we relate to the most? I'll let you go first. What animal do you feel like you relate to the most?
I don't have a spirit animal per se, but I do have a favorite animal, and that is the cheetah.
The cheetah?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you trying to pull a fast one here, or? I must say, I also love cheetah. But I think for me, my favorite one is wild dogs. You know, the way that the whole pack, they all look after one another. Should there be a sick individual or anything of a kind, the rest of the pack members will make sure that that particular individual is well looked after. And they're just such good social creatures. I love wild dogs and elephants. I'm a very, very big fan of elephants. I think just the emotional aspect of elephant and how they go about and how they treat one another, again, a very similar social structure to that of dogs. I think it's tough to actually single out. I think Maddie, you'll agree with me. I think it's tough to single out specific animals, because I think everything kind of impacts in its own right, in its own way. Okay, I'm sure you can hear it through the feed. There's a rattling testicular calling here on the right. But he's a very small bird and he bounces around very quickly. So not even going to put Matt under that pressure to try and find him. Leopard. Yeah. So we're driving past a pan. It's called Leopard, which means lion pan. But today we'll call it no Leopard, because there ain't no lion at the pan. Oh, owls. Kim, owls are, yeah, that's, I didn't actually think about that. Owls are always a fantastic one. Owls can they can really be a good hoot. Mary, you got to love the one-liners. I know you got to hear them every other day. I mean, you join us on a number of the drives, and always love seeing their reactions and hearing their reactions. I still want to get a little drum kit so I can do a dun-ch. You know, growing up, it was quite funny. My brother actually always wanted to be a squirrel. He just loved the movement of them and how they lived, and how they just sit in their little nest in their dray and just be nice and comfortable. Always thought that would be quite a funny one to be.
You don't think you'd want to be a hornbill?
A hornbill?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Get the dance moves.
Oh yes, get the dance moves going with the hornbill. Maybe we could ask him for some help to show us how a rain dance works.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I really do have so much fun on these drives with all of you. It really is good fun, really fantastic, man. No, you can never have a bad end to a day when this is how your afternoon or your evening goes. So it's not too much likely that there'll be too much activity at Nglovu Dam. But remember, even on these cooler days, the animals do still need to drink. And it is the biggest water source on the property, and it is very full at the moment. So maybe we'll get lucky, maybe we'll find some animals hanging around there. You never know. Also a good point to start at from a tracking perspective. Oof, Maddie, I think we are going to get some rain tonight. I don't know if you're able to get that out in the distance, but there seems to be some big rain coming in. You can see it there in the back. So just catching up on the feed here with you guys. Yeah, watching interactions between snakes and squirrels and mongooses and birds and all of that really is an interesting one here. And I love how the different species have different ways of attacking a snake, or how they go about the whole, how about the encounter. Oh, it's looking very dark there in the south. Barbara, I'm really hoping we're going to see our little goslings. We haven't seen them for a couple of days. Remember on Friday morning, I think we only counted 5, but we said that perhaps the other individuals had already gone over the dam wall. But let's go and see. Maybe they'll be around. Maybe they'll all be huddled up together. Could be quite cute. And Laura, I think you're 100% correct. I think we did not even have to do the rain dance. We have been heard. Oh, look at the berg as well. The whole Drakensberg just getting covered by the clouds. It's almost looking like a tablecloth or blanket layer going over the clouds. So I think tonight we're actually going to get the spotlight going a little bit earlier because of this weather. So I'm just going to get that ready for when we do need it. Just make sure all is good and all working. And of course a big thank you to LED Lenser, also aiding us in the back of line, Maddie, to see what he's doing on the camera and getting to the different controls and so forth in the back. Becky, you say you're having rain in Indiana today. What's the temperature there at the moment? I think that it's quite chilly, no? We're almost at the dam. Laurie asking, do elephants avoid water pans if there's lightning in the air? Not necessarily. Hey? Elephants don't really get bothered by it. Like the bigger game, elephant, buffalo, rhino, they don't really mind these big storms. A lot of their other game will go under thickets and trees and try to get a little bit more protected. You won't believe it. There's tracks of impala. Got to be careful of all these shrubs that are sticking out of the ground, that we don't drive over them. You know, if we did, we'd have to put it in the logbook. Beautiful, nice elephant bull drinking. We got lucky. I'll stop in a sec, just want to get us a nice angle. And Barbara, our little goslings are not here today. I think they must be hiding somewhere. Single elephant bull stationary drinking in Global Dam. Kim, a single elephant bull stationary drinking at Nglovu Dam. You're asking how far is Nullspruit? Nullspruit is about 2 hours south of us, but it's often the case that our weather does come from that area. So if there is big storms there, I think that's what we're actually looking at right now, is that dark and cloud area. Thank you for checking that, and let's hope that it does come. Let's hope it comes after game drive. Oh, sheesh, Becky, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty chilly. Oh, feels like minus 30. No ways. Hello, Jive Bunny. Nice to see you again. Been sitting in the background there ever so quietly. Nice to see a little comment. Yeah, that was great camera work from Maddie. Yeah, I think looking at the waves, Laura, you can really tell how windy it is out here. It really indicates. Here's a beautiful early, nice tusks, nice size, and look how nice and relaxed he is there. Look at him just resting that front right foot, how he's just almost just folding it backwards as such. Yeah, we'll tell Charles, keep an eye out for that cobra. Yeah, she said, I don't think I'd do too well at minus 23 degrees Celsius. You know, South Africans, we get to about 20 degrees Celsius and we think we're about to get frostbite. Pretty epic picture though, with all the trees swaying in the back, the water moving, the Ellie just having a leisurely drink. See a little foam nest frog as well, that little white patch, something quite prominent that stands out in and amongst all these dark colours. Little foam nest frog right below the elephant's head. About a good 2-3 feet behind him still though, so I don't think there will be any damage done to it. Oh Mary, that must be beautiful with the snow though in Colorado. Yeah, so you know, the animal postures are something really crucial to take note of out here, because so often it indicates the animal's emotional status. And like I was saying earlier, you never want to stress the animals. We have to view them and not stress them. So it's something very important to always keep note of, and not only for the animal's sake, I mean for our sake as well. You know, we always need to make sure that we're kept safe and we're not pushing any boundaries or anything of a kind. And that we enjoy it and have fun and really just grasp the whole experience in a safe way.
Thank you, all stations. Keep closing down.
No, Laura, no mane to blow in the wind, but it would be pretty cool if he did. Let's see what he's going to do now. He's had his evening drink. And now having a little feed. Completely relaxed. Look at that again, look at that back left leg. He's resting it on a branch. Maybe we can call him a branch manager. Anna, you're asking, are the ellies or the elephants suffering from lack of rain? Look, I mean, the lack of rain definitely does affect the various types of vegetation and the nutrient levels in the vegetation. So it's often the case what they've got to do is they've got to look at other ways to supplement the diet, and a lot of that comes from, you know, debarking or ring barking of trees, pushing trees over to expose the roots. So they have got a variety of ways that they are still able to get those nutrients. But it definitely does become a little bit more difficult for them and a little bit more stressful. I didn't point it out earlier, but something that was pretty prominent on that herd that we saw at the beginning of drive is a number of those cows, how they had their temporal gland leaking. It's that gland between the eye and the ear. So it's just behind the eye. And this time of year, typically, you wouldn't really see a mass secretion from that. And the way that those are secreting today would indicate that they are a little bit stressed, and I do think that is from a result of a lack of rain and lack of nutrients. But remember, they're incredibly resilient, these animals, hey? So they are able to look at other food sources and actually go many months without very good nutritious food, as long as they're just keeping that belly going and they're keeping themselves full. Ever seen an elephant going to 4x4? I love that when an elephant's stretching so high up like that. Now some of you might be wondering, you saw the spotlight, I've got it out, but we're not shining it on the elephant. It's because we do not want to negatively impact these animals. And like for that of a human, if you get a torch in your eye, you go temporarily blind. And we do not want to temporarily blind an elephant. It can be pretty dangerous for both us and for the elephant. And it's also just not fair on him. So we won't be putting the spotlight on him. Okay, but I think it is getting a little dark now. Let's go enjoy the last 10 minutes together and see, maybe we'll get lucky with a little nocturnal species starting to get active. You know, it's that lovely time of day where you get that transition now from diurnal to nocturnal. So I think it's going to get properly pixelated if we stay. How are you doing then, Matt?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Oh, he's got the same idea as us. Well, fella, have a great evening. Get some nutrients. Lots of little game paths leading to this area. You know, they always say if you're ever lost out in the bush, find a game path and you'll notice where they get broader and bigger, and a lot more of them almost join. And you'll always find or for the most part, you'll find a water source. But then, of course, you run the risk of running into multiple different species of animals. Yeah, and so Hoedspruit's actually not far from the airport you would have flown into. I would imagine that you flew into either Civil Airstrip, which is in town, or alternatively to Eastgate. Eastgate is just further south of us, so not too far. But yeah, same lack of rain that they are experiencing within the Sabi Sand region. I mean, this year compared to last year has been pretty different from a rainfall perspective. This time last year we had excessive amounts of rainfall, where now that just hasn't happened. So it's come to that time of the drive. Matt's already laughing because he's heard this one before. But it's come to that time of the drive where now I've got the spotlight out and it is now my time to shine. Oh, there goes a woodland kingfisher. He just flew off him, so we're not going to be able to see him. He did fly. He did continue through the thickets, but there was a woodland kingfisher that just came through. So like we were saying with the elephant, we don't put the spotlight on the elephant. We also won't be putting the spotlight on any of the diurnal animals, so impala, zebra, giraffe, any of those guys, because we don't want to put anything at a disadvantage. So we are on the hunt now for some predators and a bit of the nocturnal species. Probably put the vehicle lights on, that might help. Watch out for the branch there, Maddie. once we get on a bit of a straighter road, a triple task instead of a multitask. I'll try read your comments, shine the spotlight and drive. Oof, there's a little scrub here in the road. Can you stop right here? So I don't want to put the light directly on him because we don't want to, you know, if you can actually see him, I'm not going to put the light on him at all, Matt. If you got a good view. So these little guys come out under the cover of darkness at night, just to feed when they haven't got too many predators out and about. You can imagine during the course of the day, there is a number of eagles, leopards, lions, so there's a huge risk for them that can get eaten. So it's much easier for them to come out at night, a lot more comforting for them. And we don't want to put the light on them also because they get very confused with it. And then it can become a bit of a hair-raising sighting. Jive Bunny, I'm not sure. I haven't seen Kwenga Dam in quite a while. And a troper, maybe we'll get a bush baby. But unfortunately, we are running out of time. But the good news is we've got lots of drives coming up this week. So there will be plenty more opportunities. I'm loving the one-liners. But just to everyone, thank you so much for an absolutely lovely afternoon. It's been such a pleasure having you all with us on the feed for the drive, and thanks so much for the interactions. I mean, it's always great getting the comments and different experiences and hearing different aspects of it all. So a massive thank you from my side as well as from Matt's side and the whole Painted Dog crew. And again, thank you to all of our sponsors that have made this all possible. I think we are going to slowly head back to the HQ and go make a warm cup of coffee and maybe put on a jacket or two. But thanks so much for a great afternoon, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.